Hello guys, this is Doronsmovies and today I would like to discuss about the possibility of Warcraft 4. So I would like to cover a few points. First of all, can it actually work out? How would it work out? And would it affect other games that Blizzard is working on? Now, ever since the release of World of Warcraft, Blizzard hasn't really done anything on the RTS aspect of the Warcraft universe. I mean, let's not forget that Warcraft started as a real-time strategy game, and Warcraft 3 The Frozen Throne was the last RTS in the Warcraft franchise, and in my opinion it is one of the best games that ever came out. I mean, I grew up on that game, I played it all the time, and I still play it today from time to time. I mean, for the early 2000s, Warcraft 3 was an amazing, epic experience. I mean, it had a well-developed story, amazing RTS elements, and really epic cinematics. And I mean, even though the cinematics came out, what, 10-12 years ago, they still look amazing even to today's standards.
What is this? What are you doing, my son? Succeeding you, father.
And even though the graphics are outdated, and I mean, that is pretty much for any other game that has been out for a few years, but still Warcraft 3 has a lot of replay value. And amazingly, even after 10 years, if you go to matchmaking in Warcraft 3, you're going to find a group almost as fast as in Starcraft 2, and Starcraft 2 is one of the top esports today, and there are millions of players that play it right now. So I mean, if Starcraft 2 is so successful, why wouldn't they do the same for Warcraft 4? It would be pretty much like Starcraft 2 in Warcraft universe. Well, I believe that the main problem right now is World of Warcraft, and mostly because they have so many people working on it, and I'm not sure if they want to dedicate another team from Blizzard to another Warcraft title. And now in terms of would it actually work out, I would definitely say that it would. Now, a lot of people would argue that Starcraft 2 would turn out to be its competitor and that it would divide the audiences, but just think about it. I mean, Warcraft 1, 2 and 3 have existed simultaneously with Starcraft, and both of the franchises did extremely well. I mean, yes, both of the games are RTS games, but when you actually think about it, they're actually completely different. So pretty much same concepts, just different. I mean, the universe is different, the art style is different, the story is different, but pretty much everything except the engine it is made in is different. I mean, they have some similarities, for example, in the structure of the game and the UI stuff, but when you look at the whole, they're completely different games and they can exist in the same time. But now another problem comes up, and that is, how would it actually work out? What story can they use in order to make Warcraft 4 just as good as Warcraft 3 was for the time it came out? I believe it's pretty obvious that if they try to recreate the WoW expansion storylines, that the game just wouldn't work out. Because even though the story ended in the same way, every player kind of experienced the story differently, so it would be hard for Blizzard to present it. Also, even if they did present it in an RTS game, it would kind of ruin the entire experience the players had, because then you would think that this is how the story went down, and it wasn't us that killed the Lich King or that evil dragon Deathwing, but we were just disposable units that you can spawn in the barracks, and not these heroes that they tell us we are in World of Warcraft. So my point is that it's really hard to convert a multiplayer story into a single player story and actually make it work. Now, on the other hand though, what they could do is make us go back in Warcraft history and let us take a part in one of the epic events never actually shown to us in-game, but only described to us in books. And when you think about it, not many people read the Warcraft books, and when you look at it at a larger scale, because there are 10 million players. So, for example, the War of the Ancients 10,000 years ago would be a great plot in my opinion, but the first thing is that there were only a few factions then, and there were not as many factions as we have today, so you wouldn't have the humans or the orcs, for example, or the undead, etc. So I can see how that would bother a lot of people that want to play the game with the same class their character is in World of Warcraft. But what they can do for example, is make an alternate universe, sort of something like they are doing right now in Warlords of Draenor, or something like it was described in the book War of the Ancients, where you had, for example, Broxigar from the Blackrock clan. He was actually from Draenor, and he was going back in time 10,000 years ago to Azeroth. So yeah, I mean, they could do something like that, just on a bigger scale. So they could make a game like based on this epic event so far in the past, just in an alternate universe, almost like War of the Ancients in Warlords of Draenor. I mean, just imagine how epic it would be to get like a Warcraft RTS game with today's graphics and all of the game design improvements, where we would fight Sargeras and the infamous Burning Legion and saving the world of Azeroth. I mean, it would be really epic. So, I mean, that could be one of the scenarios of how they could make Warcraft 4 work. Now, another problem is, if they actually did that, would they have to make the world look the same? I mean, for example, if you design a map for an MMORPG, it's not really going to work out in an RTS game. I mean, I can say that as a level designer, because when I design a map for an FPS game, for example, you have to change the map a lot in order to make it work functionally. You have to make room for where the players would move, make consistent covers, guide the player through the map without him even noticing that, and there are just a lot of aspects in every game, so every map should be different in every game type, or well, most of the game types. Now, there are just so many things that you have to do, as I said, for a certain game type, so they just wouldn't work out for another one. But as I said, I mean, they could do something like a scenario where you have War of the Ancients, because that was more than, what, 10,000 years ago? And when you think about it, the world changes a lot in that long period of time. So if for one part of the game was, for example, to be played out in Ashenvale, I mean, Ashenvale would look definitely different than it looks today, because if it is an invasion of the Burning Legion, the Ashenvale would either be pre-invasion or during the invasion all destroyed and everything. So I mean, I see how they can make it work, because the zone would look completely different. And I mean, today it looks different as well, because you have all these towns, settlements and wars and pretty much everything that happened between the invasion till today. So all in all, I think Warcraft 4 would be a great addition to the Warcraft franchise, and I believe that the game could actually work out without interfering with any other games Blizzard is working on. Now, do I see it actually coming out? I mean, yeah, absolutely, because Blizzard is at the point right now where they have a bunch of resources and they actually have the ability to risk it and work on a completely new game. Well, not a completely new game, but a completely new game that is apart from their main game. And now, I don't see it coming out anytime soon, or at least until the last expansion for Starcraft 2 comes out, the one with the Protoss campaign. But after that, I mean, I can definitely see it being in production and succeeding both in storytelling and the esport aspect of the game. Now, a lot of people say that the Project Titan is actually Warcraft 4, but I actually highly doubt that, because I'm guessing the Project Titan is actually something completely different. I mean, I think the reason because they're hiding the project, or at least they stopped it now, but they're still working on it in the background, is because it's kind of like a new game and a completely new franchise they wanted to introduce. Because when you think about it, pretty much all of the games coming out today, apart from Hearthstone and the Heroes of the Storm, even though those games are based on their original franchises, but pretty much all of the games they are making right now are just based on the franchises that are more than 10-15 years old. So Project Titan could be something that they are trying to introduce, like a new franchise, because they really haven't done that in a while. So I don't see Warcraft 4 being the Project Titan, but I can actually see Warcraft 4 coming out, although my speculation would be somewhere around 2018 or something like that. Alright, and that is all I have right now for this discussion. Leave your feedback on what you think about Warcraft 4, and if you think that game would come out or not, and do you think the game would succeed or not as well. And anyways, thanks for watching, don't forget to like, favorite and subscribe, and also give some feedback on what you would like to see on the channel. See you next time.